Hey, what's happening guys? So I'm back with another tutorial, and I mentioned in the last tutorial that I would be going more in depth about eyes and how they affect the face, so that's what we're going to do today. This right here, if you haven't watched the tutorial of me drawing this, you can go and check that out after this video is finished or before, doesn't matter. But yeah, so let's just get right into it, and we're going to start with how to draw eyes. Now, again, as I mentioned before, eyes are very specific to a person's interests. So the way that a person draws an eye is going to be reflective of what they like most in their styles. So what I'm going to be drawing is a very basic base for you to work off of, something that you can basically just learn the fundamentals from and change as you go. So what I'm going to be drawing is I'm going to be drawing those eyes up there. So let's get into it. Now, I know that there are some people that use guidelines and stuff like that for their eyes. I don't use any of that. I never have, so I don't really know what to do with it. I know that there are a couple of different ways, and some people they prefer to start with the iris and then make the lash lines accordingly. I don't do that, so we're just gonna go with how I do it. And you can experiment and figure out which method works best for you, but this is just how I do it. So here we have the beginnings of the lash line. This is going to be the upper lash line. Now the lines I make tend to be a bit sketchier. I don't do the solid line thing. Some people, they do the outline of the eye and then they fill it in, you know? But I don't do that. I tried it for a little while and it just wasn't my thing. So we're gonna go with the strokey stroke technique, which is what I do, which I don't know, might take more time than other methods, but it's what I think delivers the most natural result, and it's what I enjoy most. So this is the method that I go with. So we'll see if you test it out and like it. So basically, you just kind of make all these streaky lines to form the upper lash line, and then you're going to kind of curve it down a little bit. So you have a slight curve here, and then here, things are going to get funky. Okay, so we kind of bring this down, we extend that a little bit, and then we curve this around. So now we have the shape of the eye, because here we're going to have a basic eye, a basic real eye. That's not going to be perfect, but that's because no one cares. Okay, you're learning anime, not realism. Okay, so here we go. We have an eye right here. Alright, so here you see this, how it goes up and it comes down. Like that. The lashes be coming off all like this and stuff. Cool. Lashes. Boop, 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 boop. This is an eye in a more realistic scale. So you're basically trying to warp this and make it into something cartoony. So in a lot of cases, what that means is you're going to eliminate this part. You're going to eliminate the inner corner of the eye. A lot of times it means you're going to eliminate this one unless you do shonen art. A lot of shonen styles actually leave that in, and they simply just erase the inner corner and boom, anime eye. So basically what you're going to be rolling with here is something about like this. You're going to be dealing with this basic structure and fixing it depending on what you want. So as you can see, we already, just by doing those two things, we have an anime eye. That's how simple it is. There you go. You got a style. So we're basically just going to warp and translate that into anime. So I've come here, and this is the outer corner of the eye, and it comes down. Now again, we're going to stop short. We're not going to go any further than this because there's going to be a break, because these are going to be bigger eyes. These are not going to be realistic size. They're going to be big. So here I'm going to go in and do the bottom lash line. So there we go, we have a little bit of a basic lash line, and this is also going to be curved, it's not going to be straight, and you're going to kind of want to match up these lines, because you want to pretend that the line defining the eyeball is still here, because when you're coloring, that line is still there. So basically, if you just do this, you should have an eye shape. Okay, so here we go. It's slightly curved up, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to draw an eye. Now, where you draw the eye is going to depend completely on the position that you want the eye to be in, if that makes sense. So the expression, the emotion that you want the eye to portray is where you're going to be putting the eye. So here I'm just going to be doing a relaxed kind of eye. It's, you know, just big, glassy, relaxed, nothing going on, just kind of a neutral expression. This can be pretty much any expression. This could be sad, this could be happy, it could be just indifferent. It doesn't really matter. So here you go. You have the eye in. Now this is stylistic for me. I leave this break in all my sketches. Usually when I'm actually inking something on the computer, I will fill it in because I'm going to cover it up with white later. So whether or not you leave this break here, it's completely stylistic. But when I'm working on manga, I do leave this break in because that's where I put my highlight. And here I choose a more angled highlight. Some people might choose a round highlight. They might choose to put a highlight somewhere else, but that's just where I do it. So here's the very basics. Now, depending on your style, this could be a masculine or feminine eye. But if this is what you consider to be a masculine eye for your style, when you make it feminine, you're going to want to add more feminine qualities, which would be eyelashes. You know, just add some eyelashes in. Where you add the eyelashes, again, it depends on your stylistic preferences. Most styles do it on the outer corners like that. Something along those lines. Pretty basic. And we're going to put in an eye fold right here. Now, your eye fold can be as long or as short as you want. This is usually reflective of a style as well. If you draw something that's really moe, the fold of your eye is likely to be a bit smaller. So, for example, we're just going to draw like a quick, just a really quick kind of more moe eye here. So we're going to just kind of draw like a quick moe eye, and a lot of moe eyes don't focus a lot on a lot of eyelashes, but see how much shorter this is here, this part? The fold is a bit shorter. Now when you go with shoujo styles, a lot of times they will extend the eye fold out to close to the entirety of the eye. That, again, it's all a stylistic choice, and you are welcome to make your own decisions based on that. So this is very basic. This could be really any eye style. So I mean, this is just kind of the more elaborate version of what I showed you in the face tutorial. So now we're going to draw the other eye, and I'm going to do it at a 3/4 perspective because honestly, oh crap, wrong thing. Oops. Because honestly, you don't really need me to show you how to draw this twice. If you're doing a front view, obviously both eyes are going to be like the same, but here the eyes are not going to be the same because it's a 3/4 view, like how you can see here how this eye looks different from this eye. So here we go. Basically, what I always do is I always start at the bottom corner when I draw the eye. I always do this line and then come up and around. And then this is always going to be short, and it's always going to be a steeper line for me. So a steeper line, and it's going to come down further. And since I'm not working with an actual face template like I usually do, I will be adjusting the spot at which that is. And so there we go, pretty basic. This is just like you took this and you scrunched it up. You just took all of this and just pinched it together. You just pinched it. That's basically what we're going for here. And there are some methods a long time ago that people would do using like transform tools and stuff like that to get the eye, like they would just want the eye super proportionate, so they would take this eye, select it, copy it, flip it, and then scrunch it to match. You can do that, however, I do recommend actually learning how to draw it yourself from scratch. So again, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to make this curved. However, the curve is going to be a little steeper. It's going to be kind of straight going down, and then it's going to flip up like a lazy check mark. And you're going to, again, be following this line. So if you draw a line here and you draw a line here, you're still going to have an eye. That's what we're going for. So this is going to be a little bit steeper, and you can put some eyelashes on now if you want. And this is going to start in a slightly different position. This is not going to start over here because that would be way too big. The eye also needs to be scrunched. See, like the iris of it, it needs to be scrunched as well. So while these parts can almost match on here, up here is where their big difference is going to be. So I typically come out to about the outer corner of the inside, and I kind of swing this around. And here you can make some adjustments and see how narrow this eye is compared to this one, but it's still proportionate because the eye itself, the size of it doesn't change, just really the perspective at which you see it at changes. So when you're looking at a face, a nose would typically be in this spot right here. So the way you're looking at it, you won't see as much of the inner corner. Perspective, it just kind of all scrunches together. So we're just going to kind of finish this up here and do the eye fold, which again, nothing really changes. You just follow the contour of the eye that you have put there. And ta-da, you have some really girly looking eyes right there. All is good. If you're doing digital and you find it looks wonky, you can fix that shit. If not, sorry, you'll just be manually redoing it. Alright, here we go. So we have the eyes. Now we get to talk about the facial structure. Now, I know it was like another video talking about facial structure. Yes, absolutely, because face structure changes depending on the eyes that you draw. So here I will actually be shrinking these down. Okay, so the face structure is going to change depending on how big these are. So these eyes are pretty big. Now if you draw a smaller eye and if you draw a bigger eye, the way you draw faces will be very, very different. So we're going to start with the smallest eye, and we're going to work our way up so that you can see the gradual change in the face. So basically, when you have a smaller eye, it is more closely resemblant of a realistic eye. So you'll be following the pattern of a more realistic eye socket. So that means that you can have more realistic facial proportions without the face looking insanely long or weird. So basically, you can do a face that comes around, dips in, and then kind of comes down and ends up being a little bit longer than a traditional anime face. Let's move this down here to be in the proper position. Rotate that to fit. Okay. So basically, you can draw something that is a bit longer in proportion than what most anime styles are. These styles are typically more resemblant, again, of more realistic styles, and a lot of times carry a bit more realism along with them. This isn't necessarily always the case, however, that's kind of where I'm taking it because of the actual facial structure that I decided to draw for this. Not to say that you can't draw a short or scrunched up face, it's just that you have more freedom to make longer faces when the eyes are smaller. So now we move on to this eye here, and as you can see, we have a little bit less room because the eye socket is so big. So again, we're going to swoop out, and this is going to curve around a bit more because we got places to be, and it's going to come up here. Come around, and there you go. So we have, again, another face, As you can see between these two, this one is a lot more stretched out than the other one, and let me just adjust this here. This one here is a lot more stretched out, and this one is a lot more scrunched up. Now we're going to move on to these really just gigantic, biggest shoujo eyes you can possibly have over here, and we're going to see how the face changes again. So, same rule, coming around, you hit the eye socket area, it dips in, it comes out when you get to the cheekbone, and then it comes in and it's going to curve around here, and then out over that way. So as you can see here, the face is a lot more scrunched up, it's a lot more cute, and I'm going to decide to go with a bit of a more moe type of style. So as you can see, the facial structure changes. So here you're able to have a longer face, here will be a smaller face, and here will be the smallest face. Now, of course, these are not the only ways to draw faces. This is just how I draw them. I draw rounder faces. So if you are a person that likes more angles in their style, then you can test out a bunch of things. This is not the only way to draw something. This is just how typically the relationship between eyes and the rest of the face go. Common rule is just like the bigger the eye is, the shorter the face is going to appear. So that's really all I had actually for this video. I will probably go more in depth about drawing more masculine eyes at a later time, but as for right now, I'll just do these feminine eyes so that you can kind of, because that's where most people start. They start with feminine eyes. So this is kind of just basic, more shoujo-esque styling here, and I mean, you're welcome to change anything else. This is again not the only way there is to draw this stuff, but I hope that this was at least a little bit helpful to you and helped you understand eyes a bit better. So thank you guys so much for watching. All the links to my social media, shop, and Patreon are in the description box below. Feel free to subscribe if you want to be updated every time I post a new video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!